Welcome to the Career Backup Show. Once again, I hate calling it a podcast. My name is Matthew King, and we have brought on a new guest, a new co-host, Tyler North, who's a good friend of mine, and also Noah's here, if anybody even cares about that.
Right, bro.
But Tyler's a good friend of mine. It's going to be three of us from now on, and I'm super excited to chop it up with you guys.
Unless Tyler sucks.
Yeah.
Then it'll be back to two.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll do a trial run for about a week, and we'll see about 30 minutes in if he'll make the cut or not. So a lot has happened in the NFL this week. So I want to get to the Ravens-Bills game. I was in Buffalo. Awesome experience. Love Bills Mafia. 100% will recommend it. If you guys ever get the chance. Me and Noah are about to have a face-off here because he hate watch Lamar Jackson all year. He's not a big Lamar Jackson guy in the playoffs. So I want to start with this, and I want to get my feelings out about it since I'm the Ravens fan in the room. Might as well let you guys know how I feel about it and be as fair as possible. Lamar Jackson is not the reason the Ravens lost this game. I want to start with that. Do I think he had a portion of reason? Yes. Do I think he was the main reason, even over 50%? Absolutely not. So what bothers me is that the first half, he was horrific. He had the horrific interception. He had the bad fumble. But what was so promising about Lamar Jackson that he has not done in the past is showed up in the second half when he was down by 10-plus points, and he had his best half of football in the playoffs ever. And he went down the field with Tylan Wallace and Steve Sims as his wide receivers because Zay Flowers was hurt, and Rashad Bateman was hurt. And he methodically went 88 yards to go and tie the game. So my problem here is with the discourse about Lamar Jackson is we're in an era right now with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, which Josh Allen hasn't gotten past Patrick Mahomes either. Let's not forget about that either. The only person that's made the Super Bowl at this point out of those three is Patrick Mahomes and technically Joe Burrow, if you want to bring that up. But
that's not it technically. He did, man. Come on.
Whatever.
Give Joe Shiesty his kudos.
Okay,
there.
all right. I'm not talking about a quarterback that doesn't make the playoffs. So what bothers me is how the media is portraying this to be like, oh, it's Lamar Jackson's fault, when in reality, like, we're blaming the wrong person. That I want to get that off my chest. He does deserve blame. But Noah, if you're going to come in here and say that it's his fault and he played like shit, he played better than Josh Allen. And that's facts. And he did what he had to do to at least tie the game and even win. So there are my thoughts.
I mean, listen, I don't hate watch Lamar. I think Lamar is a top 3 QB, 2 to 3. They're 2A and 2B to me. You can interchange whichever ones you want to. Personal opinion. To me, it's more so of, you mentioned Josh Allen he didn't play great, he didn't look well. Again, it reminded me of the game last week where he just did what his team asked of him. And,
no, I agree.
And that's all he had to do. Like, he didn't need to be super Josh. Like, he wasn't out there throwing for 250. He didn't rush for 80 yards. Like, he just looked like a quarterback that was playing on a team that was on all three sides of the ball playing better than their opponent was. And the thing for me with Lamar is, I think if he wouldn't have made the mistakes, that's all he would have had to have been this game too. Because you guys were playing better than them. In the first half, you guys looked like the better team outside of 2 mistakes. I think if those mistakes don't happen, we're having the same discourse about Josh Allen and Lamar. The discourse might even be Lamar did what he had to do and Josh Allen underperformed. I think that would have been what we're talking about. So to dig yourself in a hole and then to have to, throw the ball a lot. The defense did their part the second half. It was field goal, punt, field goal late in the game. I think they only kicked 2 field goals. So it's not like the Bills offense was cooking in the second half and Lamar had to run them down. Like, I just think it's a completely different game if those mistakes don't happen. And in the regular season, he is historically great at taking care of the ball. That's his thing. I mean, what did he throw? 4 picks this year in the regular season and 2 fumbles? So 6 turnovers, and then he's got 2 now in one game that just are very uncharacteristic of him. And I think because of that, the discourse around, is he really a playoff guy that is elevating his team, that it's fair to still question that.
Is it after he went down the field, after everything that happened, he did what everybody has been asking if Lamar Jackson can do. Bright lights, biggest moment, and he showed up when nobody else did.
So here's my counter argument is, why are they in that situation to them having to drive?
Because of Mark Andrews.
Because of Lamar's first half performance.
But nobody talks about the Mark Andrews fumble. With 8 minutes left.
How about
that
Mark
was
Andrews'
bigger.
drop early in the game?
Yeah, that was his fumble, in my opinion, was the biggest turnover. And second of all, we talk about the bad interception like it meant anything. They didn't get any points.
But they punted. They punted right after that.
Well, they should have. I mean, if we're going to play semantics, like there was a terrible holding call that killed that drive at like the 50-yard line.
Yeah, but either way, like you still have to say like it didn't cause any points, so it's a wash. It really is. Because we let Josh Allen go when he has these arm punts that don't mean anything. But when Lamar throws a bad pick and nothing happened. Now the fumble, sure, take away 7, but then he was driving.
I mean, that's taking away 3, but giving 7 to them because then they're already basically in the red zone at that point.
Right, but the mark. So Lamar was in the second half. He was driving down the field. Was 24-19. And Mark Andrews, for some reason, wanted to run backwards instead of running towards the end zone.
Well, he was running left or right, and there is nobody in front of him, and there's 4 guys right where he's running to his left.
Right. Who knows what happens if he doesn't fumble? At that point, the Ravens might win this game by 2 scores because they're only down by 5 points. So the fact that here's my entire point is I am sick of the media and everybody else making it a discourse about Lamar being a bad playoff performer, when in reality, everything that everybody's been asking about, can he do it when the lights are bright? Because he didn't do it last year against Kansas City. He was down by 7. He had a chance and he threw the pick. This time, he overcame everything and he took that next step as a player in the playoffs. I just disagree that it's not the same as it has been the past couple years.
The situation still changes, though.
He's making strides.
That was a 2-point play to tie the game. Like, okay, listen, if it was like maybe Justin Tucker missed a kick to win the game and then it goes into overtime, and maybe it's then a little different, but like that was just to tie the game with a minute and a half left. Bill still had 2 timeouts. You're asking Josh Allen to go down and make a play. Even though he didn't look good all game, he's really good in those moments. What if it goes to overtime and the Ravens still lose? So there's all these things. Like, it wasn't a surefire, like, oh, if Mark Andrews caught this pass, we would have won the game. I also hate this talk of, like, Mark Andrews' screw-ups mattered more because they happened in the second half. What if Lamar's first 5 pass attempts were all picks in the first quarter and the other team was up 35-0, but then they come back and Mark Andrews drops a pass at the end of the game?
Yeah, but that's not the situation. Because we're talking about one fumble from Lamar, because let's take the pick out of it. The pick did not matter. It didn't do anything in the game. It didn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Okay. Let's hypothetically take the pick away. The fumble's still at least 10-point differential there because the Bills end up getting 7 and the Ravens would have had 3. You just and guess how many turnovers the Bills had?
None.
Like that, you just can't do it in the postseason, whether it's in the first half or the second half. When he fumbled that, the Ravens completely had to deviate away from their game plan, which was to run the ball, because then they had to throw because they were behind.
Well, they were also behind too, because before halftime, that egregious our defensive pass interference against Keon Coleman on Trey, and that's a 7-point swing too. So I'm terrible. I think I agree with you that was bad, but like there are other points in that game that are just as bad, and Lamar on the totem pole needs to not be at the top, and he needs to be more in the middle. I think that's my problem.
No,
he did everything you guys have asked him to do.
Except for win a game. I said this beforehand.
Are wins a quarterback stat? Are they a quarterback stat?
I don't know. Are they?
If they are, he wins 70% of his games.
Last year, Lamar won MVP because wins was seen as a quarterback stat.
And the quarterback position was played terribly. Let's not forget that Josh Allen threw 18 picks.
This is why quarterback talk is so stupid to me, because people apply what they want to when it matters. Win or lose, oh, that's a quarterback stat. Oh, it's not a quarterback stat. Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowls. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Well, wins isn't a quarterback stat when it comes to Lamar winning playoff games. So it's just so frustrating to hear back and forth. But it's like I said before me and you hopped on here. I just completely lost my train of thought because I was just fired up about whatever the hell I was going to say. I had something. What did I say before we got on here? Oh, it was along the same train of thought. Like when the Ravens are playing well and the offense is humming, I know it was a little different this year. Lamar gets all the credit. The past 3 years, I'm tired of this. The media doesn't see him. The media has held him on a pedestal the past 3 seasons. Every MVP season he has had, the media has overwhelmingly voted him for MVP. Okay, he is,
and when he obviously deserved it, yes, it was so obvious.
Obvious last year is a.
I just disagree. Like, who else? Like,
listen,
if you say it's Allen, then you're wrong.
No, it was Dak. It was Dak.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyways, that's a different talk. Listen, coming from a Panthers fan, if you want to see media hatred towards a QB, please go look at how Cam Newton was treated from 2011 to 2018. It was awful. Everyone hated him. I mean, even a couple years ago, who's that old fuck from Pittsburgh? Terry Bradshaw said that Kyle Allen was the best quarterback we had seen in years whenever Cam got hurt that season. The media genuinely hated him. Everyone talks very highly of Lamar, okay?
Everyone.
So when 98% of the media,
so
yes.
Emmanuel Acho going on every single day of the week and saying that Lamar has to win this game.
Emmanuel Acho
we cannot listen to him after
he
the whole
boinks Joy Taylor,
Terry
bro.
Bradshaw. He's like 85, dude. I don't think he even knows where he's at. And we're talking about Terry freaking Bradshaw.
He was diagnosed with cancer like 2 months after he said that, but still.
Not funny.
My point is, when that offense is playing well, Lamar gets all the credit. Like, overwhelming majority of the credit. I just only think it's fair that when an offense doesn't play well, if that's how they're treated when they do play well, they should shoulder most of that blame. And most of the time quarterbacks do. So I think that's pretty fair to apply the standard to like when they're playing well or when they're not playing well.
Okay.
All right,
I'll leave it at that.
Let me throw some stats out.
Go ahead.
Let's throw some stats.
I hate stats.
Out.
I like feelings.
Oh, I love this stat, though, because in 14 of 94 career regular season starts, Lamar has multiple turnovers, which is 15% of the time. In 4 of his 8 career playoff games, he has multiple turnovers. That's 50% of the time. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot for postseason.
I agree. It is a lot.
He's making strides, but there's still the turnovers.
No, I agree. But, like, if we're – like, what I hate about those stats is we're bringing up, like, those stats include a playoff game in 2018 when he was 20 years old against an LA Chargers team when he only played half a season. Like, and also in the game against the Titans in 2019, he had 500 yards of offense. So, like, it just
What season is this? What season is this for Lamar?
Year
6
8
now, right?
I think it's 8.
8? There's no shot.
7 or 8.
I think
in 2018. Hey, can we do math, boys? 2018.
Hell no.
Me either.
That's crazy.
I can't do that in my
7.
head.
It's 7.
So he's through year 7, and he's done just as much. He's gone just as far as Josh Allen has. So
if Jaden Daniels wins this weekend, he has as many playoff wins as Lamar.
What's Lamar have? Lamar has 4?
3.
Lamar's at 4 now, I think.
4, yeah. He got the 4
He's at
after
4.
Steelers.
4 was the Steelers was the 4th. I think he's 4 and 5.
4 and 6 now. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's bad. I'm with you that the turnover issue is bad. It is egregious and it's freaking annoying. But my point is, what I want to hear is I want to hear
3 and 5 in the playoffs.
Okay, 3.
I think
Really?
that's before this playoff season. I think.
Yeah, it might not
They beat
count.
the Steelers.
He
and it was
He beat
4.
the Steelers, he beat the Texans, and he beat the Titans. He lost to the Chargers, lost to the Titans, lost to the Bills, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Bills.
Oh wow, it actually might only be what? That doesn't.
So
I don't know why.
Through
that
7
doesn't-
seasons, these are Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. He's 3 and 5, 60.6 completion percentage, 13-7 touchdown to interception ratio, 84.6 passer rating. Pretty solid. This other guy that I'm going to name in a minute was 3 and 5, 60.4 completion percentage, 16-8 touchdown interception ratio, 89.1 passer rating. Pretty comparable stats, right? That's Peyton Manning. So if you want to put them into the same realm, it took Peyton a little bit of time, and he had a guy that was at the pinnacle of football, Tom Brady, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes, same thing. And he was finally able to get over that hump in year 8. So maybe year 8 is that year for Lamar. He's making strides. I don't disagree with you whatsoever, Matt. You're right. You look back, I was at that Chiefs-Ravens game last year. he looked bad in the second half. Yeah, Zay Flowers fumble at the goal line.
Right, but they should have never been in that game.
No, they shouldn't have. But at the same time, when he was trying to lead his team back, he made those mistakes. This time, he didn't. You're right. He did what he had to do. Just got to clean it up earlier. And I think, we'll see what happens. But I do think – I agree with Ricard. I think it's inevitable that he's going to win one. I really do.
Or at least get there. I think at some point, taking fandom out of it, I just think that you see all these good quarterbacks, they always he's way too good to not go on a 4-game stretch where it's holy shit. And I think it will I mean, I really wish that the media was around like it is now when Peyton Manning was going through that, because I wonder what the conversation would have been around Peyton Manning. It does
probably very similar.
Oh, it always was that he was Brady's bitch. It always was that. I mean, let's be real.
But it was half of what it is
now. We
now.
all knew that. We just didn't have Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and any other social media.
Yeah.
Because it would have been heightened to the T. The other thing, you talk about Lamar winning percentage as far as quarterbacks that haven't made a Super Bowl. Josh Allen second. So they're 1 and 2 as far as winning percentages in their career that haven't made the Super Bowl. Funny enough, Dak is 5th.
Well, yeah, Dak is the funniest outlier of any quarterback I've ever seen.
I'm a big Dak guy.
I love Dak.
I'm a big Dak guy.
I think that's a whole different conversation, but I feel it's bad for Dak too. But all right, let's move on because I could talk about this forever. But
hold on, let's talk about the Bills real quick. They played well. Defense looked good.
I guess we do have to talk about the Bills.
That was about it.
You know what? I'll give Sean McDermott his frickin' flowers because he has been shit on over the past couple years about his playoff success and the play calling and his decision making, clock management. He did everything to perfection. And what I really liked about Sean McDermott was late in that game, I think Josh Allen got stopped on the 2 or 1 yard line on a quarterback run, and it got to 4th down. And I'm like, dude, he's going to go for this shit. And he didn't, and it was the right decision. And nobody's going to talk about that, but that was a big swing because he could have ended the game. And a lot of people with the analytics and everything would have said, I have Josh Allen. I'm going. It was the right call. I think he was a big reason why they won that game, and that defense stopped Derrick Henry in the first half and caused the Ravens to throw the football. He did a great job. Phenomenal.
Did Josh Allen try and pitch that?
Yes, I did see that, and I wish I had the video, but how insane would it
That would have been
terrible.
You want to talk about the media ripping a guy. If he had pitched that and they had fumbled, and let's say, hypothetically, the Ravens were to return that for a touchdown. The other thing, you're talking about going for it on 4th down there and why it was a smart decision to kick the field goal. If they go for it and don't get it, the Ravens go down and score a touchdown like they did.
And they win.
They would have been up 1.
Or at least up. Yeah, I know. There was still a minute and 30. I keep forgetting that. There was time. And maybe Josh Allen, I wouldn't doubt he would have gone and done it. I believe that much in Josh. But the fact that they didn't have the chance, it sucks.
All right, one last thing.
Okay.
One last thing. Would you have ran it with Derrick Henry on either 2-point conversion, or at least on a read option?
At least once. The fact that they didn't have any design runs is insane.
The first one, he was gassed.
Yeah, that was the drive he took over. Yeah, that was the drive he kind of took over.
Yeah. But both plays were open, so I got to give it to him. It was tipped by Milano, and the second time, Mark Andrews dropped it. So I don't blame Monken. Everybody who's Monken didn't give the ball to Derrick Henry.
So who do you blame? You got to blame somebody. You lost a playoff game.
I don't blame one person, but if I was on the totem pole, Mark Andrews is way up here.
Okay.
I would also – I think John Harbaugh did a damn good job, and I'm very critical of John, so he's not even in my critique. I would say the offensive line's up there as well. Lamar was getting pressured all night long. I would say Lamar's on there, obviously. But, yeah, I would probably rank them like that. That would probably be my top 3 reasons why they lost this game. But Lamar's in there.
Very, very fair. Very fair.
Lamar's in there. All right, let's talk about the Chiefs and Texans. So I'll start off with this because it's the most talked about thing in the NFL world right now. I am sick of people saying that the Chiefs are lucky and that everything goes their way and that the refs are on their side. And the reason why I say that is because they make plays when they need to be made, and nobody talks about it. They just talk about the one egregious call that happens to every freaking team in the NFL. So in the biggest spots, Houston led in total plays, yards, time of possession, and yet still lost. So they had plenty of opportunities to overcome that egregious, roughing the passer in the head. And in the fourth quarter, game was 13-12, 3rd and goal. Houston was at the the Chiefs were at the 11-yard line. On 4th and goal, 11 yards, Travis Kelce touchdown. Like, if you want to complain about the calls, at least make stops on 4th and 11. Like that, it's insane. And
that was 3rd down. There's no way.
Or third. I'm sorry, 3rd down.
No
third
way they
down.
would have went for it on 4th and goal.
3rd and goal.
Hey,
down.
Don't help Papa like that. Don't help Papa.
3rd and goal. Either way, you stop him there. It's a field goal, and you're within. What would it be? I guess they went up 20-13, so it would have been 17-13.
No, they went up 20
or 16.
to 12. It was 13-12 Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs had to leave by 1, and they scored a touchdown.
So it'd have been a
kicked the extra
4-point
point.
game.
Yeah, right.
And
that was in the
That
was in the fourth quarter, and it's like D'Amico Ryans also decided to go for it with 10 minutes left in the game on 4th down when the play clock was running out. So they had to rush, and they obviously weren't going to get it. It was a 1-possession game, and you go for it. The ref thing is getting on my nerves. Like, I can't stand it. I think it's because the Chiefs are that damn good, and it's because Andy Reid is a damn good head coach.
What is a defensive player supposed to do when Mahomes, he doesn't give himself up, and then all of a sudden he just decides to go down? Like, he's running around, he's scrambling, and then he just decides to go down. And then it's friendly fire between, I think it was Tawa and somebody else on the Houston defense, and they get called for the unnecessary roughness. That's my biggest question. You can sit there and say that you're sick of the refs getting blamed for things like that, and like, yeah, sure, I think there's some things that are like, all right, this is so ticky-tack, you can do this in any game that you want, but there are some where you're just like, dude, what the heck's the guy supposed to do in that situation? And then you see later on in the game when Mahomes is scrambling out of bounds and he just completely flails and flops out of bounds trying to get the call. Good on Mahomes, because 99% of the time he gets that call. But like that's my biggest question is, what is a defender supposed to do?
I mean, I think that one was the one where he was running and kind of dancing in circles and then just kind of went down real late. Like, I didn't agree with that one. I thought the
Will
roughing the
Anderson
passer,
one?
Yeah, I thought that one was fine. Like,
I wasn't that mad at that.
They're gonna, like, if you touch if you touch their helmet with your arm, it's supposed to be a penalty. So like, I'm not really upset at hitting helmet to helmet and calling. That's gonna be called in today's NFL. That's fine. What gets me is how we're trying to we're doing like revisionist history now, because people are trying to be like, even the Pats weren't this bad. We literally changed rules of the game to help Tom Brady. Like, can we please not do this and act like
people forget about that New England team?
Stupid, bro. It is so stupid. Caught cheating, the tuck rule, the below the knee on quarterbacks rule. That's all because Tom Brady. And he was
now
just
we've just got
bad.
Jackson Mahomes, Taylor Swift, and
but that's off the field.
Yeah, they're mad. They're mad about everything else but the team. Like,
it's just as a society how we've found okay, this team's good. We have to find ways to nitpick.
Dude, I love
Travis
Kelce. Like, everybody loved Travis Kelce until Taylor Swift was involved, and now it's like, oh, he's annoying as shit. I'm like, what the hell did he do?
And Patrick Mahomes is nowhere near as whiny as Brady was. Like, you would see Brady get up and complain to refs and stuff. Like, and Mahomes gives his props. He's always good in the pressers. He's not, like, people are painting him out to be this villain. And don't get me wrong, I love a good villain. Like, I miss Brady being in the NFL because I fucking loved watching that dude lose. Like, there was no, like, watching the Giants beat him in the Super Bowl might as well have been the Panthers winning. Like, that shit was so cool. I don't feel that way about Pat Mahomes. Like, I wish I did. There's not a QB in the NFL right now that I'm really like, I hate this guy. Like, I wish every other team would beat him every single time. So I hate this, like, Patriots are now less evil or less of an issue than the Chiefs are now. It's not true.
That's a good point. I have seen that a lot.
Yeah, it's annoying.
The bad thing is I've been adamantly rooting against them, and I think it's because
I am too. I think we all are deep down.
I lived there for a couple years, and I was there. I went to the 13-second game, the greatest game in arguably playoff history was at that game. That was awesome, and I think that you're talking about the whole Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift thing. I think that and the whole at the same time Jackson Mahomes being heightened. there were just so many things going on and so many people that were now, oh, I'm a Chiefs fan, that it was just very aggravating. And I was just like, I cannot stand this anymore. My wife's from Kansas City. All of her friends are from there. Like, I'm getting ready to move there in 2 months, so I'm going to be walking into enemy territory. I don't have a reason to not like them. I don't. And I think it's just because it's the same team over and over and over and over again.
I think it's boring.
I think that's what it boils down to. And yeah, as a Vikings fan that can't experience any of that, I'm gonna find my ways to not like you and be like, you guys are absolutely spoiled.
My hatred for Tom Brady runs so deep. I want Mahomes to pass him. Like I really want it to be
I
like.
do think Mahomes is a great guy.
Yeah, like I want Mahomes to be the GOAT. I want Mahomes to be not undisputed GOAT. That's what I want Mahomes to be.
Oh, he will be.
I want him to so bad.
I'm a sucker for winning stats, and last time I checked, when they've played in the playoffs, Brady's 2-0 against him, and Brady was at the end of his career.
When he had nobody on the offensive line, we're really gonna like
year.
it was.
He doesn't have anybody now. That's their biggest flaw right now, in my opinion. That's the whole reason why I don't know if they're going to win is because of this offensive line.
Yeah,
I mean, we're seeing it time and time again, and I gotta say this right now. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I think Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson might be the best pass rush duo in the NFL.
They're disgusting. They
are
awesome.
absolutely incredible.
I also said I also have a hot take on top of that. I think the Houston Texans will be the best team in the AFC next year because they were okay. Listen, on top of what Tyler said, that defense and those two what you need to win in the NFL is an elite quarterback. I know that CJ Stroud had a bad year, but he, in my opinion, is still a top 10 quarterback. Maybe fringe, but he's still there. They have the running. I think Joe Mixon was phenomenal. I don't know why Cincinnati got rid of him. And they have an elite defense and a good head coach. They have everything in place except for the offensive line. If they fix the offensive line, they can bring back Diggs on the smaller contract, which they need a second wideout with probably Tank Dell out next year. If they run it back with a better offensive line, they could have beat Kansas City. Like, I don't know. I'm big on Houston.
Diggs and Tank. Yeah,
if they were fully healthy and they had a decent offensive line, if they ran it back, I would probably take the Texans, which is crazy.
You remember the game? You remember the Saturday game before Christmas with the touchdown to Tank Dell where he got hurt. They were right there right before Tank got hurt, and then he got hurt, and you kind of knew what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah,
they play in a very soft division, which I think really helps them because they're almost guaranteed a home game.
Yeah.
Like what team do you really see challenging them next year? You think Anthony Richardson is going to make that next step and that stride?
No.
Maybe Trevor Lawrence with another coach.
No.
And don't even get me started on the
hater.
Titans. Don't even get me started on Titans. That's a disaster of a franchise right now.
Listen, man, y'all keep doubting Papa every year. This happens every year.
Yeah, we refer to Mahomes as Papa. So
every year it's.
I mean, I don't. And literally, like when we were going to get to our preview of the Bills and the Chiefs, I was literally going to say, you're giving me a pick 'em with the Chiefs at home.
I would take
Why
the Chargers
would you go against it?
Over the Texans next year. I see the Chargers taking the next step before I see the Texans taking the next step. That's just me. But
with Greg Roman?
Well, I mean, that's
sounds like some PTSD.
And maybe I know.
But so I can't fix the OC on the team. I think it's going to be good, but you can rework the worst offensive line in the NFL.
They basically the Chargers just
my
need a
hypothetical.
receiver.
Okay, they'll get one. T. Higgins to LA, bro.
They won't.
T. Higgins
I'm
to
making
LA.
my statement right now. LA will not go out and get a star wide receiver because they have Greg Roman. I swear to God.
The Panthers are getting them all. Diggs, Garrett Wilson, and
Diggs and Thielen reunite.
And T. Higgins are all going to be in the Carolina Blue next year, bro. Trust.
Hey, as long as Xavier Leggette's there getting them neck coup meat, they're all good to go.
Bro, hey.
All right, let's move on to the Commanders-Lions.
Oh, wait, real quick. I want to say something about this game, this Chiefs-Texans game.
Go ahead.
The spread was 9.5.
Oh,
and Ariza got that safety to push it from 11 to 9.
Shit looked
It's got to
a
be
little
one of.
rigged.
It's got to be. Everybody that had Chiefs money line wins. Throw them into whatever parlay you want to throw them into. But the Chiefs spread loses. It was just very.
I think it was
fishy.
a smart play.
I mean, yes, but you're already up 2 possessions, like with what 10, 15 seconds left. You mean to tell me they're gonna get?
I mean, what are the odds? Which odds are higher? Them getting a punt return and then an onside kick? Very unlikely. But I mean, I think you just kind of put the nail in the coffin there. Is it rigged? It looks like it, but I mean, I think I could see why some teams would get a safety in that scenario.
Yeah, but do you think that some people know the spread? And
the punter knew the spread. It was
I fully believe that players' friends put money down. And so if they can somehow,
you think he's like, hey punt god, you know, at the end of the game when you guys are up 11, make sure you get that safety for me.
If they have some kind of control,
get the FBI in here right now.
I don't know.
They don't know that shit.
They know the spread.
It's like the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. Spread. It's the Buffalo. Yeah, I know they know the spread. I'm saying they don't know what situations they're going to be in. It's the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial where he's like running down the field and they fucking pull the sprinklers on.
yes. Such a good. Bring that back. I love that commercial. Bring it back.
Buffalo Wild Wings sucks now though.
Beat up his ass.
But yes, I agree 100%. They're what downfall is worse, that or Chipotle? We can get on that.
That's a whole different conversation.
There, but I just had to get that. Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Gosh, why are we not going to argue more? But yes, I had to get that little tidbit in there with the spread,
it was
because I was watching that and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like
right.
That was just that's got to be one of the worst bad beats in a long time in the NFL playoffs.
Yeah. So biggest surprise this weekend: Commanders beat the Lions. I came on here last week and told Noah that it was disrespectful at 9.5. I told you it was disrespectful, and one thing I do want to say, and you guys will probably hate it, is that I hate this Dan Campbell crying gimmick every year. Listen, I understand you love football. Don't act like it was cool when you were the underdog. It was cool when you were like winning 3 games and then the next year you came back and you made the NFC title game great. You were the number 1 seed in the NFC. You have 15 wins. You have a talented roster. Yes, were they injured? And that took account into their loss. Absolutely. But don't play this cry me a river. I love football so damn much, and we're the underdogs, and we should have won. Like, that was one takeaway I have from this game is that I don't know. I think we might see something different with Detroit next year now that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn is going to be gone, and I don't think they're going to be as good. And we'll see how good Dan Campbell is.
I thought you were about to tell me they're going to get rid of Dan Campbell. I was about to
No, God, no. Okay. But we'll see how good he is, because I don't know. I've been a hater of Dan Campbell. I don't think he's as great as what everybody thinks he is, and the gimmick just put the cherry on top.
I love it, man. I love Dan Campbell. He could cry every game, win or lose.
My biggest takeaway from this game was not that guy, pal. He's just not that guy. That's how I feel about Jared Goff. Yeah. I think that, first of all, Matthew Stafford wins that game. Now, yes, I know. Do they have all those pieces if they don't trade Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff? No. But I do think that Stafford would win. I mean, look at we'll get into the Rams, but like the Rams are still pretty damn good. Look who they've got. I'm not saying that they're the caliber of the Lions because of what the Lions have got, but man, I don't know what other pieces you have to put around Jared Goff for him to succeed. Like, you've got the best line in football. You've got top 3 running back, I would say, in football right now. Probably maybe
the
top
best
4.
running back duo.
Best running back duo. The wide receivers are top notch, a top 5 tight end. Like, what else do you need to succeed and get your team to that next step? Last year, sure, it was a crazy experience, with them getting to the NFC Championship game. Nobody saw it coming. This was the year. This was the year for the Lions. There's no doubt about it. There's no excuses. There's nothing they can say. You can sit there and say the injuries definitely hurt them, whatever it might be. The dude had 4 turnovers by himself.
Yeah.
Like, he lost them the game. Like, there's no other way to put that. Like, I'll get into the Commanders in a minute, but the Lions, as much as I want to say the Commanders won that game, I really felt like the Lions lost it.
Nah, I'm not taking anything away from that. The Commanders, dude, that game was phenomenal. I mean, most people had them counted out, man. And this is where people are going to be like, oh, well, why do you hold Lamar to such high standards and Jared Goff not to his high? Because Jared Goff is nowhere near as good as Lamar Jackson. Like, we know that. That's very easily to say. Not even probably 2 tiers between where Jared Goff is and Lamar.
They're paid the same though.
Yeah, they are, which is stupid. But I just want you to hear that when I'm about to say what I'm about to say. Okay?
Oh God!
Because it's going to sound hypocritical, but let me explain.
Give him
myself.
A pass.
No,
he's going to give Jared Goff a pass.
No, it's not a pass.
You can't.
He lost him. He is the main reason they lost that game. But what else do you expect from Jared Goff? Honestly,
I expect not to turn the ball over 4 times. Like he did it. He had one bad game, the 4 interceptions against Houston, and he didn't turn the ball. I think he turned the ball over once. So it's the same thing.
So the stats he had this year, are we saying his stats were so good because that's how good of a player Jared Goff is, or are we saying it's because that offense is loaded with talent?
I mean, you could make that argument with a couple of people. Look at Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I agree. Is Sam Darnold the same level of player as Lamar Jackson is?
Well, why are we bringing Lamar into this?
I'm just saying because no, it's not Lamar. It's not to say this is a Lamar segment.
I get what you're saying.
It's more of like we hold different QBs to different standards based off of how good we know they are.
I agree.
Kind of thing, and that's how I feel about Jared Goff.
It's what they're capable of.
Right. Like we saw Jared Goff's ceiling this year. Like that was as best as he's going to be. That's the best he's going to play. That's the most I expect from him. But we all knew in the back of our mind, the Lions are one bad Jared Goff game away from losing any playoff game. That's
right. So what do they? I guess back to Tyler's point, what would you do? Because now like your ceiling with Jared Goff is there, and your $250 million tied into him.
That was the Texans game where he threw the 5 picks, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Their defense was just healthy and good that game. I think if their defense is healthy, it's a different story. I don't think you're having to shoulder Jared Goff throwing the ball as many times, which that's why I wanted to preface it with, that's kind of what you expect from him. You run the risk of a game like that whenever Jared Goff is your quarterback. So to me, it's get healthy, run it back, see how you are without Ben Johnson. I think they need to incorporate more of a run game next year. I know they had, good run game when Montgomery was healthy and some good runs when Gibbs was healthy, but I would love to see them slow down, because the games that were shootouts this year is kind of when you allow teams to hang around that maybe aren't as good, because your defense just wasn't capable of slowing the game down a little bit. So
there was a moment in this game when the Lions were up 7-3 and they were driving down the field. I think it was like toward the end of the first quarter. There was a huge strip sack fumble by Dorrance Armstrong and then recovered by Frankie Louvu. At that point in time, the Lions were averaging 7.8 yards a run, and Gibbs was at 14.5 yards a carry. Why are you deviating away from that? Why are you even putting Goff in trouble there when you're down in the red zone and you're just running it down their fucking throat? Because we've seen the Lions do that in games. We've seen them win, I think it was week 1 against the Rams, where they went into overtime and they just said, here, we're just going to hand it off every single play.
After that pick, Goff gets ass blasted by Frankie Louvu and is in the medical tent. He had to be concussed. Bro had something. Yeah. Had something wrong with him.
Yes. Also, is that not a illegal blindside block, by the way?
Nah, bro. Free runner, light him up. I love watching QBs get hit on picks. You threw the pick, pay the price.
I mean, I don't disagree, but in the NFL that we play in anymore, I feel like that's a blindside block.
Let him play. I would need to go see it again. I don't know that it was that egregious, but it was a hard hit, and he definitely hit his head. Teddy Bridgewater comes in and they score on the next drive. I mean, it's like 3 run plays, and Jahmyr Gibbs good run, and then they run the reverse, and it's a touchdown. So it's almost like, man, what if Teddy just stayed in and they just kept hammering the ball down the field?
Maybe
the
they
ground?
just treat the offense. Yeah, I agree.
You know what
with
I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like treat the offense around your quarterback. Like
right.
His limitations. Like
exactly.
I agree. Ben Johnson deserves a lot more hate. People are like, oh, he scored 30 plus points or whatever it was, but like, the way that the offense was moving throughout the game, I wasn't impressed, even though they scored 30 points. They were down. I mean, the Commanders, let's talk about the Commanders, because I feel like a lot of people are talking about the Lions.
So real quick, what point in the game did you sit there and say, damn, Commanders got a shot?
Like into first quarter.
As soon as they scored that first touchdown, I was like, this is not going to be easy for the Lions.
No.
Like, they made it look easy. And I was like, dude, he is not fair. I mean, it kind of helps for a rookie quarterback to go. And I'm not taking anything away from Jaden. I'm not. So take this with a grain of salt. But he did go and play in Tampa, warm-ass weather. And then you go to the Lions in a dome. Like, we'll get to Philadelphia and them in a second. But, I mean, like, you can just tell that Jaden had so much confidence. And they all believed in themselves. Like, I don't know. I felt like they had the chance from the moment they scored that first touchdown.
So mine was on the second offensive play for Washington when Amik Robertson broke his arm. That was the point when I said, that's just a weird sign of already depleted defense, their best cornerback getting hurt. What happened after that? Let's see. Washington held them to a 3-and-out. Then they went and got the first down on the injury, and then Jaden started 4 for 4. They ended up turning it over on downs on that possession. Which, did you see that fourth down play? Because Mariota was going to pitch that to Jaden.
Right.
And Brian Robinson screwed it up. But that was the point. It was really early on where I was just like, that's the first domino to fall. Injury to your best defensive back. Maybe Brian Branch is probably their best defensive back. But Meek Robinson's a huge part. And that was just a point in the game early on where I just thought, wow, I was like, Washington can do this. And then you saw how Jaden started. And the one thing I noticed early on with Jaden was, yes, he was clicking. He started 4 for 4, like I said, but I think his best throws were his throwaways.
Yeah,
I think
just real smart with it.
Yes, he avoided any type of danger. He was calm, cool, and collective. He knew he was going to take hits, and when he did, he knew he delivered them. But then there were times when he would roll out and he'd see the pressure and he'd just throw it away. And I'm like, that's exactly what you have to do in this league. And I wonder if some of that stems back. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that came out, I think it was yesterday, about his VR training, about how he had to sign on a contract, where he's been basically prepping at 1.75 speed. That's got to be something that quarterbacks are.
Somebody's just trying to sell VR headsets.
They might be, but how has nobody done that? That's my question.
He's been doing that since LSU, I think.
Have you not played Have you not played the VR NFL game? It looks like shit.
Okay, I disagree. That shit is fun. That shit is fun. I feel like a real life quarterback, dude.
He got linked on with it after he left Arizona State. He had like 3,000 yards in that season. He had a terrible year. Both of his grandparents had died from COVID. He went over to LSU. This German, or I think it was German, the German couple approached him with this VR thing. He took it in, boom, skyrocketed, won the Heisman, got drafted by Washington. But one of his contingencies when he got drafted is that he wanted to have that VR training. And when he went through a concussion, he was still able to do that training, even though he wasn't able to be on the practice field. So I think that, it's something that you got to imagine other players and quarterbacks are going to utilize in the future.
I'm sure for young dudes, it's really good at learning to read defenses in the NFL, especially at how fast it is. I'm sure it is good at that. But
well, it's like baseball, right? They have like these new pitch technology, like things that throw exactly what pitchers throw. Like technology has gotten absolutely nuts. Like, why not use it to your advantage and get more reps as much as you can? And I wouldn't doubt if it starts to happen over the next couple years. But yeah, I was really impressed with the Commander. I thought it was awesome, but it kind of sucks for Lions because I really thought that I really wonder what it would have been if their defense was fully healthy. I do. But I think losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn is going to hurt more than what we think. It's really hard to overcome two great coordinators. Ask Nick Sirianni. So
where's Jaden rank for you guys, quarterback wise?
We had this conversation last week, and
but now we have to have this conversation because of what he just did.
Noah made a good point last week, and he was like, "It is so hard because you watched C.J. Stroud last year, and everybody said he was a top 5 quarterback." I know that Jaden.
I think it's because there isn't that solidified fifth. There's Mahomes, there's Burrow, there's Lamar, and there's Josh. However you want to put them. There's a clear-cut 4, and then there's a drop-off. And what would solidify and put somebody over the top of all of those other quarterbacks? Playoff wins.
I can't anymore. I'm done at 1 year, quick scopes of QBs. I just can't do it anymore. I 2 to 3 seasons is what I got to see. People were crowning Trevor Lawrence after the year they went to the playoffs. Now he's probably 15th or 16th. Same with
NFC
CJ
Championship.
Yeah,
it's
a big
it's
deal.
Big time. Don't get me wrong.
Those guys went on the road to Baltimore to where did Lawrence go? Kansas City. They lost those games.
Yeah, I mean
Daniels wins.
Lawrence had the comeback.
And the thing is, Daniels is the reason.
But that was in the first round. They went to a perennial powerhouse and beat them.
Detroit.
That's what I mean. Lawrence went to Kansas City, lost. Stroud went to Baltimore, lost. Daniels went to Detroit, the number 1 seed, and won.
What about the year the Blake Bortles took the Jags in the playoffs? I mean,
he wasn't putting up points against the big B's or the triple B's.
In that game, yes. But across the entire season, did he have arguably the best rookie season for any quarterback ever?
It's not even close.
That's my thing is you take these things where you couple one of the greatest rookie quarterback seasons and then put that with making the NFC Championship and beating the number 1 seed on the road. I mean, you can't ask for a better start to your career.
Russell Wilson, his rookie year, they went like 10-6 and went to the.
Yeah, but they had the Legion of Boom. Like
that's what I mean. What else does Washington have outside of him?
I mean, so I'm just sitting here like I'm trying to bring up other examples, and it's like, yeah, but Jaden Daniels does this, and everyone else has help. And
right, because he's the focal point of that team. The other guys, they had like. You had playoff Lenny. You had that Jags defense. You had the Legion of Boom. You have all these other pieces that propelled those teams to the championship.
I mean, his defense did have 5 turnovers. They did have 5 takeaways. I mean, like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Mikey Sanistro is that dude.
Yeah, bro.
That guy was a wide receiver coming out of high school.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh converted him to a cornerback.
It's 'cause he must not have been able to catch.
Jeez.
He did. He had 2 picks in the NFC Divisional Round.
Listen, all I'm saying is wait till next year. Give me till next year. I'll tell you by week 8 what he is.
I agree. I'll say he's top 5 going into the season, but
I'll say he had a top 5 season. I will leave it at that. Is he a top 5 QB? I can't say yet.
Okay, that's a good point.
How bad is Brian Kelly, real quick? He had Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas all in the same team.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And couldn't get to an SEC championship.
I knew it was going to be bad for him though when he was started using
and Notre Dame just made the college football national championship. Like,
yeah, but the
what
12
a
team
bad
this
year
year,
for
would
him.
they have made it last year? What were they ranked last year? I don't even know. Were they ranked within top 12? They might have made it. Who knows?
They were. I think they finished 10-3. So they might. They had 3 losses though.
I don't only watch film on college football. I don't watch those games. I can't stand them.
Is it? Yeah, the college football. I have a whole freaking thing about the national championship being ass every year in that situation. But let's talk about the last playoff game review: Rams, Eagles. I didn't get to. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't get to watch much of it because I was with Bills Mafia. But I watched the game afterwards. And honestly, like, I came away so impressed with the Rams going on the road in the. I was way more impressed with the Rams than I was the Eagles. And you can obviously tell that Jalen Hurts isn't healthy. I don't know if you guys saw the video of Jalen Hurts.
Presser?
Yeah, it was
pert.
bad, dude.
Popping them perks.
Dude, he was in there on something.
Dude, it was. I mean, the mobility was obviously an issue. Saquon Barkley's elite. Like, I don't know. I hope Matt Stafford doesn't retire because I think that he still has another run in him. And if I were a team, I'd try to trade for him. But I don't. If I was like Pittsburgh, I would for a year. But
dude, if I'm a team, the only team that should keep him is the Rams. If they do,
I think they should run it back.
Yeah.
I really do. Like they had such a bad start to the year with the injuries to Puka, and that really set them back. And Cooper Kupp, actually, they both got hurt. So like that really set them back. You know, up to week 7, I think they were like
they were missing one of the two,
2-4 or 1-5 or something like that. And then they just ran the table and started winning every game they could. I think that it is the best situation for the Rams and the best situation for Matthew Stafford for him to try and win a championship. Obviously we saw the monster run by Saquon at the end of the game. I know he had 2, but the one at the end of the game. Should he have went down?
No, dude, I hate that. Go
He
score.
went down. He went down last week.
I know. Go score, man.
But
if
it's the playoffs. It's the playoffs.
But if the Rams had scored, people would have been talking about that because if they scored a touchdown, there's all that time left. That if he went down, they could have used that clock.
Yeah, but the statistics say that it doesn't really change it. What if they fumble the next play and then they get no points?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to throw this hypothetical out here.
Now, unless you're the Falcons that year, they had Todd Gurley when he tried to fall and fell into the end zone and their defense was so bad. But the Eagles have the best defense in the league. Go score and rely on your defense. Your defense is better than your offense. I'm trusting my defense more than I am my offense in that situation.
Yeah, I agree.
I got to also give a lot of credit to Braden Mann, the Eagles punter and holder. Because those were incredible in those conditions to get those snaps down for Elliott, who has been struggling all year and struggled in this game as well, but to no fault of man. Those snaps were so far, it was all the way across his body basically, and he was able to get it down with the laces out.
Yeah.
I was so impressed by that.
I love them cutting over to the camera, and it's just all of them just
shoveling,
scraping the snow out. Just shoveling that shit, yeah. I took the same thing. I mean, the Rams were one spectacular Puka catch away from not even really having a shot at the end. So
true.
Yeah, I think if go score it, let your defense.
I wish they had ran the hurry up earlier. I wish they would have tried it earlier. They didn't. The Rams getting too much of this wanting to control the clock game, and what the heck just happened?
Your power just went out.
They get. Oh, now we got a party. They get to this too much of wanting to control, little malfunction, control the clock, and they have the playmakers on the outside, and you've got a pretty good receiving tight end in Higbee as well.
Yeah,
I don't know why you wouldn't at least have tried that earlier in the game. That was one thing, because once they started doing it, their offense started clicking.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how good their the Eagles' defensive line is. You get those dudes worn out a little bit. I think it helps, but it's also in those scenarios where I feel like people are always like, "Oh, we should run the hurry up more often." Like we have success, but you're always kind of running the hurry up in situations where the defenses are probably giving you 8 to 9 yards and just kind of making plays in front of you. So it always just looks like, "Oh man, we look so much better." And it's like, well, I mean, the defense was kind of allowing you to do that up until a certain point.
Yeah, I'm not 100% saying it would have worked earlier on. I'm just saying why not try it, because your offense wasn't really doing much earlier in that game. And the conditions earlier were actually better than what they were later in the game. I think they should have taken advantage of the better conditions earlier on.
I think, I mean, if I'm the Rams, I'm trying to rework the run game, because Kyren Williams is too good to not be as efficient, or to be as inefficient as their run offense is. He's like third in yards after contact, highest, top 5 in forced missed tackles. I just feel like he should be a more focal point of the offense, but not hey, you're going to run the ball 16 times for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. They need to get him more involved in some other ways.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, Matt would love to. Matt, we got filleted last week for our Jalen Hurts take, just by the way.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
He's
obviously he's hurt. I didn't take that into account, but I do think I think it's a combination of being hurt and also I don't know. I don't think he's I don't think he rises above. I said that last week. I don't think he's a guy who I would want on the team that I want to turn around. But I mean, he's good enough, right?
Clearly,
he's probably in the same realm as Jared Goff.
I said, I put a question in here: is Jalen Hurts just Justin Fields with a better supporting cast?
Okay,
God, dude, did we forget how bad Justin Fields was? He was so fucking bad.
But the dude has second best line in football, third best line in football, the best running back in football, top 3, top 5 wide receiver duo, a top 10 tight end, a top 5 defense probably.
And he's in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, and in his 4 playoff wins, he hasn't had more than 154 passing yards. They aren't getting there because of him.
Well, hold on. The Super Bowl, he had one of the greatest Super Bowl performances of all time.
Lost. Not a win.
That was not on him. The defense gave up 40 or whatever it was.
What did he do at midfield that game?
He fumbled one damn time. I hate y'all, man. Y'all take a whole. You guys take a whole game.
Is he a top 10 quarterback? Is he a top 10 quarterback?
No, not right now. No,
probably just because there's not, dude. I was thinking about this earlier. Listen,
that's what I was saying. After those 4, there's a huge drop off.
You think
it's 10 to 15 guys you can all throw in?
Think 9 years ago. So obviously they're we still had the Mahomes equivalent of the Brady tier, and then there's not really anyone else after that. But think about that Allen, Lamar, Burrow tier was way more stacked back then. There was way more high tier talent than there is now. It takes a steep drop off after that 4 spot. I mean, you had Brady at the best, and then it was still Rodgers, Manning, but then even the guys under that, you had Rivers,
Breeze,
Matt Ryan, Breeze, Russell Wilson in his prime, Ben Roethlisberger,
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I was about to say, the disrespect is crazy.
Got to throw Joe Flacco's name in there. Matt Stafford was there as well during that time.
We just don't have that much QB talent around. There's just not that many.
Colin Kaepernick.
Okay, if you throw Jalen Hurts in 8 years ago, is he top 10? Not even close.
No.
He's 15 or 16.
Different style of game.
It is. So I'm not trying to do apples to oranges. But
where do you factor in the rushing ability of a quarterback into that ranking? Because his rushing ability is a lot better than, I don't know.
I think his rushing ability is overrated. The stats are way inflated because of the fucking tush push. And when I watch him run, he is not as dynamic as a Jaden Daniels or a Lamar. Like
No.
to me,
he's a bigger body.
He's literally a tush push merchant. Like, I mean, running wise,
when he runs, he picks up yards when they matter. Like, he had some good runs the other day that were like good pickups. Like, he had a 14-yard scramble.
Yeah, but
for
he's
a
not
first down.
like.
But like,
he's not like special like that. Like,
I guarantee you, people aren't game planning like, okay, we have to hold Jalen Hurts under 80 rushing yards this game.
Yeah.
Like, he's not that kind of runner, but he can pick it up when he needs to.
Yeah,
but
he's mobile. He reminds me more of Patrick Mahomes, if anything. Like, they're both not fast, but they can both get it done if they need to. Like, that's where I see him, whereas when he was coming into the league.
They got that thick torso.
yeah, thick-bodied men.
That's what they are.
I have one more take, and then we have to go to the next
and I want to hear this. Too.
This one is my favorite take of all time. Nick Sirianni is a top coach in the NFL. And I will stand by that, because if we're going what do you rank a head coach? He's top 5.
What?
He is. He went to
wait.
2 NFC championship games now. 2. He's been to a Super Bowl.
Are you taking him over Kevin O'Connell?
No.
Are you taking him over D'Amico Ryans?
It's debatable.
Are you taking him over Sean McVay?
It's
Are
debatable.
you taking him over Matt LaFleur?
Yes.
Are you taking him over John Harbaugh?
Yes.
McDermott?
It's close.
Okay.
It's close.
Were we not just
saying,
last week talking about him getting fired?
No, you said that.
No. You said, what do they do if they lose this game?
Should start, but he won.
Dude, you can't put a guy in a top 5 that argues with his fans in the middle of a football game.
That has nothing to do with your ability to coach.
That shows who he is. That shows his character. He's more
like
worried about what's going on off the field than on the field.
Listen, you can argue about the kind of person he is, but statistically, as a head coach, he has gone to 2 NFC championships, a Super Bowl. He has a top 3 winning percentage in the NFL. He has made Jalen Hurts into a franchise quarterback after having to deal with the Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts transition, and he had him year 1. So,
and if they lose this week, he might get fired.
No, he will not.
He just looks like a grouch.
I mean, is he an asshole?
I don't like him.
But you need that in Philadelphia.
He's not top 5. He's not. There's no way I can say he's top 5.
I think
he's up there. I just went through like 5 to 6 to 7 to 8.
Okay, but his resume is better than all those guys. Debatable. I mean, Kyle Shanahan shits his pants every time he gets there, too.
That is true.
He shits his pants.
He does.
What's the difference? He's got no rings. He's been the NFC championships.
But he's made Brock Purdy a franchise quarterback.
With Christian McCaffrey, yeah, I guess so. But Jalen...
I mean, Saquon. I know Saquon hasn't been there
Jalen
previously.
was good before Saquon. I mean, Jalen was... we were debating Jalen top 10 2 years ago. A top 5.
They were debating like he was in MVP votes. Not going to win, but like he was up there in MVP conversations a few seasons ago. So
yeah. I think my problem is that Philly fans wanted him fired, and they blame him for every loss. It's kind of the same thing. Like, if you're going to blame him for every loss, you have to say that he's the reason why they won. And I just kind of want to give him his flowers. He has done the most. Statistically, he's one of the best head coaches in the NFL over the past 4 years. Like, nobody wins as much as him. Right now, probably. I don't know what Vrabel does. Vrabel had the number 1 AFC team with Derrick Henry in the backfield and lost to Joe Burrow with no offensive line after having 10 sacks. Ryan Tannehill was a Pro Bowler. Let's not kid ourselves.
So was Tyler Huntley back-to-back years.
All right, I'm going to bring up so Tyler actually came up with this, which I thought was great. The bird is the word segment. So I'm actually going to pull this up on the screen here. I can't wait to see your guys' tweets. So let me pull this up. All right. You guys can see this?
Noah.
So the first tweet so basically what this segment is we're just going to give our favorite tweet of the entire week revolving around the NFL. This one was my favorite because it came from a Bills fan. And this picture itself just showed the respect between Lamar. Mine's better than Noah's. That's
this
about
very
to come
wholesome.
up. Noah, I had
wholesome.
to bring a wholesome one. And the narrative around Lamar and Josh. I thought this was a really cool moment. So that one's my tweet of the week. Now, Noah, I have to bring yours up because yours is
that's a banger.
Okay, let's go to Noah. So this tweet says Mark Andrews
an Emmanuel Acho merchant.
That might be him in the background with the beanie on.
Bro, how does she still have a job, bro? How's
I
Mark
don't know,
Andrews
man.
and Joy Taylor have a job?
They should
I
get
like it
together
how she
sometime.
she went on the next day and just acted like nothing happened. I was like, hey, props to you then.
Dude, they were all trying not to laugh too. Like Paul Pierce. This is
I mean, how
top
do you
tier.
not?
This tweet had
Oh
me
my
crying,
God.
dude. Mine is not as wholesome as yours, but that had me crying.
Yeah, we had to do one or the other. And then Tyler had 4 winners this weekend, 0 turnovers, 4 losers this weekend, 10 turnovers. So that is definitely
Hold the
revolving
ball.
around everything that we talked about, like it all came back to turnovers. Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, like Houston.
You were talking about Houston and how they outgained and outdid every single losing team outgained the other team in yards.
It was really weird. It was a weird weekend, but also
That's
Houston
why,
didn't
because
turn
of
the
the
ball
turnovers.
over.
Yeah, they didn't turn it over.
Well, but they did have turnover on downs.
They had the turnover on downs, but
Yeah.
there
So
were no
if-
takeaways.
They
Yeah.
technically didn't have a turnover, yes.
Yeah.
So they are grouped into this, though, even though they had 0
Yeah.
turnovers.
Yeah, I think if we're given a winner this week, I think Noah. I think you win the
Thank
competition
you.
for
I
the
bookmarked
Bird's
that
award.
as soon as I saw it. It was so
Oh, the
Dude.
worst. I didn't know how into this we wanted to get because I did see one that was a homeless guy that was like foaming at the mouth and it said, "When I give
milk.
Mark Andrews Magic Johnson's insulin."
Stop. Me and Noah were talking about how bad the
Some of
market.
them are
Bro, I
bad,
feel
dude.
so bad.
Yeah.
I feel
If I
so
was-
bad.
Like if
I know.
I'm his family, I like.
Dude, I was at a wedding with his
calling
brother
him.
back in September.
Yeah.
You need to contact him.
get-
I know. Be like,
immediately.
yo, is he
Phone.
good? It was the same brother that he was doing like all those off-season workouts with.
Get him
in
on
Arizona.
the phone. Tell him to delete Twitter.
It reminds
Yeah.
me of Max. a
Delete
couple years ago.
social media.
Get
rid
off
of
it.
I
Go
mean,
to Hawaii.
okay. One thing I will say is him not showing up to the presser is a weak move. You have
Absolutely.
Lamar
You gotta
Jackson
face
showing
it.
up there. You got to face the fucking music. And he didn't show up the day after today for the locker cleanout. But
Bro, I don't blame him. People are telling him to kill himself and all kinds of crazy stuff, bro.
people
Stay
tell
away
Lamar
from him.
Jackson to kill himself every day.
Yeah, but
Come
he's the
on.
QB.
Oh, here we go. All right. Let's talk about the games this weekend to wrap up. So we got the Chiefs versus Bills. It's what everybody wanted. I'm glad you guys got what you wanted instead of Baltimore. We have Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes. My question for this game is, who is the better quarterback going into this game, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? Because Josh has technically been a better quarterback the past 2 years, and he's outperformed Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So I think that's a topic that needs to be discussed. Even though Pat wins, I think Josh has a case.
I think
What
Patrick
What are we
Mahomes.
basing it off of? Stats or wins?
And whatever you want.
I think Patrick Mahomes' performance against the Texans was better than either of Josh Allen's postseason performances this year. I think
I
that
would
would be
agree
a
with
fair
that.
statement. So I mean, I think
would agree with that.
recently he has played better. Again, this is just like taking it into a microscope and being like, who's better? Who do we know is better? Who do we know is better?
We have
Patrick
to clip
Mahomes
grab.
at the Arrowhead
can't clip grab.
Invitational. I will take him.
Yes.
Here you go. Last 10 games, Bills and Chiefs. 5 wins Bills, 5 wins Chiefs. 251 points for the Chiefs, 251 points for the Bills.
That is a rivalry. Well, is it a rivalry? Because
Nope.
One team only wins in the playoffs. He has to win this. Josh Allen, for his legacy, has to win this.
yes, I'd love to hear that.
He
Now,
has to-
finally, somebody.
But it's the
putting
same
the
thing if
pressure
Lamar
on.
had won. But it's the
Exactly.
same thing if Lamar had won. You have to beat Mahomes.
No,
That's
Noah's
why.
about to defend Josh.
Wait,
Here we go.
wait.
Here we go.
No. I'm not defending Josh. All I'm saying is earlier we were talking about, well, it took Peyton 8 years and Lamar's going into year 8. So is Josh. They still got plenty of time.
They do, but like early on in your career, this is. I mean,
But
How many
Josh
chances
is
are
a
you gonna get in the
historically
championship?
good
What is this? His third AFC?
second.
Second. Yeah.
because they lost the one where Diggs was on the field,
Yeah.
the confetti coming down.
Yeah, did you
that
guys
was-
see D'Amico Ryans kind of mimic that, like by
Yeah, I
watching the
did.
TV? It was
I
bad. It
did.
was like,
I
dude.
did. I like I said, if you're gonna basically give me a pick 'em, I'm gonna take Mahomes at home. Like that's
Yeah.
what the line is, and I would rather sink on that ship rather than being like, ooh, I think the Bills are the better team. I'm gonna go with the Bills this time over the Chiefs. If it happens, it happens, but I'll die on that sword.
Chiefs. It's Chiefs, Matt. Quit.
I'm taking Buffalo. And maybe it's
All right, we have to have some housekeeping friendly wager then going on for next episode. We'll think of it. outside of the episode this week, but we'll have to do something.
You said you're going to be back, buddy. You need to watch out.
I'm taking the Bills because I think the Bills are the more confident team going into this game. And the reason is because that I think after the Bills beat them, I know it's a regular season game, but they kind of I know it was kind of close, but the Bills outright were the better team that day. And I think beating Baltimore is more significant than beating Houston. And I think they have all the confidence in the world. They can go into Arrowhead and win. They've done it before in the regular season. They can do it in the playoffs. If they just stay true to themselves, I think that they can overcome it. There is going to be a time we can sit here and say the same thing. Nobody's ever going to overcome Brady. Nobody's ever going to overcome Mahomes. It's going to happen. And I think this is the best opportunity for Josh to do it because he doesn't have all the pressure on him now. This offense is built.
How many losses did Patrick Mahomes have this year?
One.
How many one-score games were they in? Josh.
But who was it against? And that's exactly why I like the Chiefs, because you know that Patrick Mahomes has got that on his mind. This is the team that beat us. We don't lose that often.
But Josh has got on his mind, these fuckers own me every damn year in the playoffs.
Sure, but in a 15-1, 15-2, we'll throw in the Carson Wentz Broncos game. But in a 15-1 season, and you lose one game, you don't mean that sticks with you? Patrick Mahomes is always trying to find things to motivate his guys and motivate his team. Remember, Pacheco wasn't in that game. That's somebody that's coming back into this game. I just think that whenever you need that motivation and you can find it right in front of you where it's like, hey, they beat us last time. I just think it's so easy to utilize that.
I was going to say I would honestly feel better about the Bills if they would have lost to the Chiefs the first time around.
Exactly.
Which
is why I think the Ravens had a better chance at beating the Chiefs, because they were like, we are going to avenge our loss. It's just a psychological
Ravens
thing.
Also beat the Bills, and we saw how that played out in the playoffs. I think there's something about if you win that game, you're kind of like, okay, this is what we did that worked last time, and you kind of try to build on that. If you lose those games, it's kind of like, here's what they did that we need to focus on, and I just feel like you have that little bit extra going into the week to prepare. I don't know. Could just be superstitious, but
I think the one thing that is in the Bills' favor, especially defensively, is that the Chiefs are terrible at running the football. They're awful. Isaiah Pacheco had the injury, and he hasn't been the same. Kareem Hunt, obviously, I don't think he's had a run of 10-plus yards more than twice this year. And the Bills, their biggest weakness is stopping the run. So they're pretty good at stopping the pass. So I think if anybody can contain Mahomes passing-wise, I would trust the Bills' defense in that situation. Now, if they were one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, Kansas City, then maybe I would be like, I don't like the matchup. I think the Bills are the best matched up against the Chiefs, and they beat them before. I have a lot of confidence that they want to avenge all those losses in the past. You're talking about psychological. The Chiefs are going in there saying, we beat their ass every time. This is, it doesn't matter what they do. We're going to win. And I think Buffalo's saying, this is different. So I don't know.
The other thing boding well for Buffalo is Clete Blakeman is the head official. Since Mahomes has been there, Buffalo's 6-2 with Blakeman. Kansas City's 5-5.
All right.
Little tidbit.
And also,
however, the other thing that I was looking at is in that time he has thrown 23 flags for unnecessary roughness, which seemed very, very high compared to some of the other statistical measurements for flags. False start was one, I think. Pass interference and holding were up there as well. But then it was unnecessary roughness. That was third or fourth. So,
All right, score predictions. Give them to me.
You want to go first, Tyler?
Yeah, I can go first. I think this is going to be more of a defensive battle than people think. I think the Chiefs have relied on this defense all year. We talk about how Mahomes always comes up in those moments, in the clutch moments, and I think he does it again. But I do think this is going to be a defensive struggle. I'm going to go 20-16 Chiefs.
I kind of said the same thing last week when talking about the Texans, which I was pretty much right about, was just that it was going to be a low-scoring game where it's the Texans are hanging around, and then it was going to be, that's the kind of football the Chiefs have played all year. The defense looks good. The offense is kind of throughout the game, but then they make the plays when they need to and they end up winning. That's just what winning football looks like. I think it'll be the same thing. I think it'll be a little bit higher scoring. I have it at 27-24. I think it'll be really close. I think it could come down to Patrick Mahomes puts them in field goal position at the end of the game to win. Would not be surprised.
All right, I guess I'm the lone wolf. I think it's the same thing. I think it's a defensive battle. And for me, I am trusting the Bills offense more than I am Kansas City's right now. I'm going to take the Bills 27-20. I think Josh Allen gets it done. And we're going to start having conversations. Is Josh Allen the best quarterback in the NFL? I think that's what's going to happen if he wins the MVP. All right, last game, Eagles versus Commanders. I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders win this game. I really wouldn't. I have a ton of confidence in the world in the Commanders right now because they portray confidence onto me by just watching them play these past couple weeks. But I'm curious what you guys think about this game.
I'll let you go, Noah, on this one.
Yeah, man, it's just really hard for me to go against the Eagles. I said this last week, and I was close with the Rams game, kind of said that I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams eked out a win at the end. I thought the Eagles would win, but wouldn't be surprised. I just don't know that the Commanders' defense can keep up with what Saquon can do. A.J. Brown has had about 100 yards both times they've played the Commanders this year, so I expect Jalen Hurts to maybe have a little bit better game if he's a little bit more healthy. And then that Eagles defense is just so good, man. Like Jaden Daniels would have to put on like an all-time playoff performance, not just
He's
rookie.
done well against their defense, though.
He has, but I mean, it's going to have to be like top 5 probably all-time playoff performances in my head for him to win this game. And do I want to put that on a rookie? No. So
You probably said that last week against the Lions, though.
I did, but I would say I figured it would be more of a shootout than this game was. I don't really see this being a shootout. I don't know that the Commanders can go and put 35 on the Eagles like they did the Lions. I could see that happening in the Lions game. I don't really see that happening here.
Yeah, I think Saquon's over-under rush total is 122.5.
Over.
Holy
Absolutely
shit.
absurd.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah.
I don't think I've
Which is
ever
insane.
seen that in the playoffs.
No, Henry's was, I think, 96 or 97 and a half last week. And that I thought that was pretty high. I think Saquon's was about that as well last week. So you kind of have to understand what Philly's going to do in this game. And rightfully so. Like I was talking about before Jared Goff had that strip sack fumble, the Lions were just ramming it down their throat, getting 7.5 yards a carry. So you got to imagine Philly's looking at that and saying, well, why let Jalen Hurts throw the ball and hurt us? Let's just run it with Saquon or run it with Hurts. I agree with what Noah's saying. You thought last week was going to be a very tall task going to Detroit and winning that game. You talked about what their first round game was, and that was where? Tampa, right? Where was last week? Detroit, right? What is that, a dome? This week it's outside, and it's going to be 30 degrees for a boy from Louisiana. I worry about that. I worry about the weather. I worry about this daunted crowd, because let's be real. There's tough places to play, and then there's Philadelphia. They hate you. They will throw shit at you. They will talk about every person in your family and bring them down with you. Anything and everything that they're going to do, they're going to do it. They're the most disgusting fan base, and I'll go ahead and say it on here, on the record. I don't care. Anybody that knows me knows I cannot stand that city. But I don't see how they lose. I really don't. With this defense, that is the one thing with the previous matchups with Detroit and Tampa, that they didn't have the defense to be able to really truly slow down Jaden. Philly's got it. Now, have they done it in the regular season? Did Jaden have success against them in the regular season? Sure. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that whatsoever. One of the games he was going against Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I know Kenny Pickett doesn't play defense. But I do think that now that we're in the playoffs, now that it's run and play defense, who does it better than Philly right now? And that's really and truly what I got to lean on in this game. As much as I want the Commanders, look, I have a bet from back in May of the Commanders to win the Super Bowl, 120-1. I'm rooting for them. 15 to win, 1,800.
What made you ever place that bet?
We have a little friend named Jaden Kozak that I made a personal bet with of the Commanders making the playoffs, and I decided, you know what? Why not throw something on them to win the Super Bowl?
Damn.
So I decided to.
I'd
I was
cash
really
out.
No, it's like $150. Like, why would I do that? I'll just let it ride at this point. But I was like, you know what? I really love Jaden Daniels all anybody remembers is Dan Quinn from the 28-3 Super Bowl, but really and truly, he was an incredible coach with Atlanta. Like, to get him to that point was real. I thought it was exceptional. He was a great coach in Seattle with the Legion of Boom. A lot of people forget about that stuff. So I really believed in him, and I believed in the veterans that they brought in on a lot on these one-year deals, like Bobby Wagner. They traded for Lattimore, which obviously that was after the matter of the fact. But I thought they had some interesting pieces, and I think Terry McLaurin might be the most underrated wide receiver in football, and I think Zach Ertz might be the most underrated tight end of all time. And I love all those guys. I just can't see them beating Philly.
Yeah, I'm
going into that hostile environment. I can't.
Yeah, I said it earlier too. I agree with. I think weather is a factor. You can't not say it. It's not, because they played in Detroit in the Dome and Tampa, and we haven't seen Jaden Daniels in those conditions. And also, one other thing too is I see it with Lamar is that when a team plays a rushing quarterback twice, usually the second time around they play a lot better. This is a third time with Jalen Hurts. So I think it's going to be really tough for Jaden to not only overcome a great defensive front that the Eagles have, the great DBs, the great line, everywhere they are stacked. But
Zach Ball's been playing incredible.
Yeah, he's an all-pro. I mean, not only does he have to overcome that again, but
and Quinyon Mitchell is playing.
Yeah, and now he has to overcome them a third time. And I'm with you guys. I picked Philadelphia before the year to go to the Super Bowl. So I have to keep my prediction. Would I love to see the Commanders do it? I would love to see a Commanders-Bills Super Bowl. It would feed families, but unfortunately, knowing Kansas City, we're probably going to get the same thing we got 2 years ago, and hopefully Philadelphia can avenge them this time.
Well, that's what the LIX logo is. It's red and green. So
I don't believe in that shit.
I mean, I'm just saying it's happened like 4 or 5 straight years. Eventually got to say
it didn't happen last year, was it? I think last year was purple, which it was Baltimore. So I wish that shit was real.
Everyone thought it was going to be. Right.
Yeah.
Real quick, can you imagine if Joe Schoen had listened to his son
about picking Jaden?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And if they had done that and re-signed Saquon instead of re-signing Daniel Jones.
Okay, so
they would have won
they would have had
Jaden
Daniels and Saquon.
So I agree that the Giants should have re-signed Saquon Barkley, but at the same time, this past season, like when he went to Philadelphia, it would have been so stupid for them to pay Saquon. It would have made 0 sense. I think he made the right decision. And at the same time, I don't think the Commanders were going to trade up and take I don't think the Giants were going to trade up. Yeah. I don't think the Commanders were moving off that spot. I think that they knew that they needed a guy, new ownership. I don't know. I don't think any of that. The Giants suck, but they made the right decision, I think, with Saquon. So I don't really hold them for that. I think a lot of people do.
It's just fun to think about.
Yeah. It would be wild, though. Jaden and Saquon, be families. All right.
Definitely.
All right, score predictions to end this off, and then we'll give our favorite prop, and then we'll head out of here. So I'll let Tyler go first. Who got the first one last time? Tyler? So Noah, go ahead.
Yeah, relatively low scoring. Again, I think the Eagles just kind of control it. It's going to seem close. I think it's going to be 24-20 Eagles. It's going to seem close, but I think it's going to be one of those games where like the Eagles are kind of winning time of possession. They might have a takeaway, and maybe the Commanders score on the last drive to make it one possession. But I don't think it's really going to be in question who wins.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the line's 4.5. So you're calling for a backdoor cover in this game by the Commanders.
Maybe so.
On a late drive touchdown to switch the money.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring on one end. I think this is going to be like a 31-17 game, Philly. Wow. I think that in the first half it might be close. At halftime we might be looking at like a 17-10 type game. But I just think overall the Eagles defense, especially the front on the Eagles on both sides of the ball in the trenches, I think are just going to be able to really separate themselves from the Commanders and wear them down as the game goes on.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be close in the first half. I kind of had the same thought, like, NFC Championship game, jitters have to get out. I think it'll be close, but I think Philadelphia, with their experience and their defense, I think they pull away late. I have them 27-17, so I think they cover and win by 10. All right, favorite prop for this weekend? We have a minute left, so let's do it. My favorite prop for the weekend, it's the easiest cash of your entire life. I don't understand why it's plus money. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. I mean, my God, dude. Like, you're telling me he's not going to get a tush push in this game? He's not going to score in the AFC title game? That's an easy one for me. So I'm taking Josh to get in.
My favorite one is actually from the same game as well. It's going to be Xavier Worthy over 3.5 rushing yards.
Wow.
I think they're going to utilize him a little bit more in the rushing game. I think they're going to want to get more explosiveness on the outside, and I think that's where you're going to see a couple of these end arounds come into play for Worthy. The other one that I would consider, it's a little bit more of a dark horse in the same game as well, as a Kareem Hunt touchdown. You're talking about the Bills and their rush defense not being, as stout as some of these other teams, especially still in the playoffs. I think Kareem Hunt is a guy that's been there, done that for the Chiefs, and he's getting those goal line looks a lot more over Pacheco right now, and at plus 150, I love that. I think he's bound to score in this game.
Noah?
I had A.J. Brown over 61.5 receiving yards. He hit it both times, cleared it by like 40 yards, both times against the Commanders. Amon-Ra had like 140 last week. I think it's a fun little prop to throw in there.
Yeah. It's a safe bet. All right. Thank you guys for listening to the Career Backups podcast. Noah, Tyler, thank you guys so much for coming on here. It was a blast. And yeah, we will be back next week to hopefully talk about a Bills Commanders Super Bowl. Hopefully the Devils magic is over. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.